Check it out, we rapping for the Texans. Little bitty and Crenshaw Bridge, we flexing. Houston rap style, we bringing the heat. Talking Texas football, nothing compete. Got the best podcast, the livest in the game. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Remember the name. We talking draft picks, we talking defense. We break it all down, no nonsense. H-Town, Victor Run Showdown. On the mic, talking Texas football. Every Wednesday night, with special guests dropping knowledge, taking the stage. Oh, diggity, Crenshaw Briggs, be holding it down in the H-Town, wiping it down. Talking touchdowns in H-Town. Houston culture, we holding it down. Talking news and rumors, keeping it real. No filter, we got the Texans on feel. In the Lone Star City, we're living it up. Talking all things Texas, we can't get enough. From the football field to the concrete jungle, we're ripping H-Town. Ain't nothing humble, bitch.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast, brought to you by the Fan Battle Sports Network. We have a special guest today, but before I introduce him, let me introduce my amazing trio. We bring him in as a trio. He's been here so long. First off, I got Mr. Kenneth the Messenger. Sir, how you doing? You're on mute, brother.
My bad. I said, I'm doing pretty good, man. What's up, Texas Nation? And shout out to the guys and Mike.
And guys, if you're a TikToker, like most of us are, you know this guy very well. We got the TikTok sensation himself, Mr. Bo Diggity himself. What's up, bub?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing out there?
And guys, we have a special guest. For our first time, we have Mr. Mike Meltser from Sports Dog or Mad Dog Radio. Sorry, Houston sports personality for Sirius XM Radio. Sir, how you doing?
Guys, how are you? Pleasure to be on.
All ours. I kind of talked about it, but I like in the free agency so far.
I like it. I would give it. I was thinking about a grade. I was thinking kind of at the B+ territory. I was looking about an hour ago about just kind of recapping some of the moves. You're in this window, right, where CJ Stroud's going to be pretty cheap for the next 3 years, and that's the most important thing that kind of guides, how you view what's happening, because this is the time to be aggressive, right? And I didn't love the money to Dalton Schultz, but the tight end market was kind of weak, and I think compared to what they would have had to pay to replace him, it made sense. And I do think some of the drop passes will, I think, kind of fade away moving forward. And he's a viable target. Like, there's clearly a chemistry with him and CJ. I like the moves on defense generally. Adding Danielle Hunter, adding Autry. I like the Azeez Al-Shire move because that's a guy who I had targeted for them last year in free agency before he signed the one-year deal in Tennessee. The concern would be that you're getting a little older in some of these spots, and so that's a worry. You lost Grenard, you lost some pieces here. I'm not sure about the Joe Mixon, trade, and then the extension is the one that I'm kind of curious about. But overall, I do think my thought coming out of the season was this team needs an upgrade on defense. Like, they just need more talent. When they were on the field against Baltimore, my overwhelming sentiment was like they don't have as much talent as Baltimore does. And I'm not saying they do now, but I think that they have more weaponry up front. Like, I do think Malik Collins is a loss. Grenard's obviously a loss, but I could see where these guys are a better fit, and in some cases, they're just flat out better players. So I'm kind of in the B+ range right now, knowing that there still could be signings and moves to come.
All right. Well, let's take it a step outside of the Texans. Do you see anybody having a better free agency than we are?
Ooh, that's a great question. I gotta really think about this. You put me on the spot. So, all right. So if I look at some of the moves, like I do, it's interesting. If I just think about the division, right? So here's some things that I like and I didn't like. I liked some of the moves that Tennessee made, like, they signed Cushenberry, they brought in Pollard, they've invested more in the offensive line. I did not like giving all that money to Calvin Ridley. I thought that was a great scenario for the Texans, both in terms of Jacksonville losing him and Tennessee paying him too much money. I thought that was a complete win-win on both sides. Indianapolis, obviously, they spent whatever it was, $200 million on guys, in their own building, essentially, re-signing a lot of players. And I think, where they are and looking at those contracts and the individual players, I think it kind of made sense. I know that the Jets have gotten some accolades, that now that they signed Mike Williams, it's very clear what they're doing. They're bringing in guys who are sort of mercenary types on like 1-year deals because they're so all in with Aaron Rodgers this season. I gotta think about that one a little bit. I may come back to that one.
No worries.
Yes.
I'll kick it off to you, man. What other than the Texans, who's having the knockout park free agency so far?
Knockout. I don't want to say knockouts. You do see like a lot of teams. To me, I think Pittsburgh getting Russ was insane, and then trading for Justin Fields, I didn't see that coming. But as far as like who's been really winning the free agency race, I don't think there's not a clear winner in my eyes. Granted, Saquon to the Eagles, that's to be seen what will happen. Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons, you want to see if that's going to be enough for them to get over the hump because they got all those weapons, but apparently it was missing a quarterback. So you'll see if they for real with a quarterback.
Right.
You can quarterback that going to get you there. But out of all the teams, there's not a team I was like, man, they really crushed that free agency thing. Not that I've seen. I've seen a couple signings here and there, but nothing that's been just surprising. Nothing I think really won. I think for the Texans, you upgraded, and that's all you can say. I feel like as a Texas fan, you can say, hey, they may have not been the best. They may have not been the prettiest, the most sexiest players, the most sexiest contracts, but you say, hey, what did we have before? You had Jonathan Grenard, you lost him. I think as Texas fans, you feel good about Danielle Hunter. You feel like that's an upgrade in my eyes. Then you had Devin Singletary, you lose him. You get Joe Mixon. Once again, I agree. I agree with you, Mike. That contract, that 3-year extending him before he's done anything for your organization is a little risky, but I feel like they wanted to show him good faith out the gate and say, hey, we believe in you. We're going to trust you. We want to, give you the keys. Like, you're the guy. Yeah, you're the guy. We want to let you know that you're the guy in our eyes. So come here, come confident. Don't look over your shoulder. Even if we draft a running back, you should be solidified and confident in your role. But like you said, the 3 years, like that was a stretch, but they did it, so it is what it is. But he is an upgrade over Devin Singletary. Another upgrade. Cashman, I am interested to see how Azeez do in that role because I feel like in the beginning of the season, Cashman was a great linebacker that could cover. I feel like the injury made him tail off a little bit. So I would love to see how Azeez fits in this mold, even though he's been with the D'Amico Rams before. So I feel like he's going to fit well in that system. But all in all, like I said, not amazing. I feel like free agency wasn't just shocking, but I guess it's been fun to see people move around. But nothing really made me think like, wow, that team's a problem now. Right. I guess people say Derrick Henry to the Ravens, but I feel like he's past his prime. But so I'm not really worried about the teams that made moves this year, honestly.
Well, and like you said, the contracts, right? Like,
yeah,
like Mike said, Ridley was overpaid, Armstead was overpaid. A lot of these teams are reaching, and that's one thing Nick Casario stayed true was, look, either you take this or you walk. Yeah. Like we don't care. I mean, Patrick Queen.
Stayed on brand.
Right. Mm-hmm. Patrick Queen was a perfect example. We offered him 10.5. He wanted more. They said, all right, well, have a nice trip. We're taking Azeez better. So yeah, at least he stayed on brand. Kendall, man, talk to me. Who you think is having a good free agency outside the Texans?
Honestly, I like bro said, it's not really no big surprising moves and no big splash moves. But I will say I think Atlanta, that's something that I'm looking at like, all right, let's see what y'all gonna do now that y'all feel like y'all have a quarterback, which Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. Just, on and off the field a little bit. Had a pass injury, but Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback, and that's a lot of weapons. I feel like he has more weapons there than he had in Minnesota. Even though he had the best wide receiver in the league, is Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? You still got more weapons with Atlanta, and then the defense is also good as well.
And who could say? I mean, Justin Jefferson really only seen without Kirk Cousins this year, right? So who can really say? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying Jefferson's not the guy because I think he is the guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think Kirk Cousins had a lot to play with that.
I was about to say, I was like, you gonna jump out on that ledge and say that he ain't that man?
Nah, bro.
I'm about to say that they gonna come for you.
Let's say this: he's
one
of the
guy,
best
but
receivers.
Yeah,
he's one of the best receivers for sure. But
I think he's one of the best. But Kirk Cousins pushes him over the level as elite. Like he makes him because he gets him the ball. You know. So,
yeah, true.
You really trust Sam Darnold to get him the ball, so like a catch-22. So yeah. Mike,
sure.
You get your answer?
I've been looking as you guys have been answering. I've been listening, and for me, it's more about the individual moves that stand out. Like I just saw the guy post about the Bears. I really like adding Keenan Allen. I know that's not like breaking news to anybody, but you bring in a young quarterback, and now you have DJ Moore, you've got Kmet, you've got Keenan Allen. That's a really good situation. They have a better offensive line than people think. I like Hollywood Brown to the Chiefs because, they obviously had huge weaknesses at receiver last year. And now if you get the kind of, development you want from Rashee Rice, so that was decent last year, plus Hollywood Brown, I think that helps them. I kind of like what the Steelers did philosophically in that I actually didn't like signing Russell Wilson in the sense that I thought it was an opportunity cost thing because – they were kind of stuck with Pickett and Rudolph and what were they going to do? And I didn't think Russ was good last season. I know what the numbers say, but if you actually watch the games and you also figure out like if Russell Wilson was decent last season, I'm guessing the Broncos wouldn't have been thrilled to take an $85 million dead cap hit over 2 years. Like that, I think that says something. But because they signed Russ and they traded for Fields, I feel better about it in the sense of, okay, they're giving themselves 2 very cheap ways to possibly get a solution at quarterback. And I don't think they were going to be in a position to really draft one high this year because of where they sit. And so given that I think they were kind of stuck in the mud, what they did philosophically made sense to me. I actually like the Eric Armstead signing in Jacksonville. He to me is a winning player. I don't know if I love everything else that they did, but I like that one specifically.
Yeah, it was a good move. It's just a little high, I mean,
yes.
Was it like $37 million? That's just
I think the new numbers came in and they revised it down. The other thing with the Steelers, like I like signing Patrick Queen. When you compare his deal to other inside linebackers who hit the open market the last couple of years, like Tremaine Edmonds, they got way more money than he got. And I think he's a pretty solid player. Kind of fits what they do. And there were some like random signings that I like. I love the value the Giants got for Brian Burns. I know they gave him a big contract, and plus give up a 2 and a 5, but I think he is if he's not like a premier edge rusher, he's just a cut below, and you pair him with Thibodeau and like you got something cooking. On the flip side, a guy they lost, I like the Packers signing Xavier McKinney, the safety. I've always thought he was a winning player going back to his days at Alabama. I'm surprised the Giants didn't want to re-sign him. So I like that move for Green Bay. So those are some of the ones that kind of, when I look around the league, kind of stand out to me. Obviously, there are teams who lost a lot. Like Miami would be an example of that. Like they lost a ton in free agency because they basically had to with the salary cap situation.
Right. I'm going to have to agree with Mingo. I think Chicago had the probably outside the Texans the best. You finally made a decision. Like, look, if you're going to stay with Justin Fields, that's cool. Stay with Justin Fields. But make a decision on where you're going, so that way you can game plan. So you moved away from Justin Fields with a 6th-round pick. Crazy, but hey, that's all you get. That's all you can get. They added Swift. They added Keenan Allen. They added some good players to help. Most likely Caleb Williams to come in. So hopefully it's a step forward from years past. So I got to go with the Bears on that one.
Yeah,
but
I had a question for Mike. I'm sorry, Matt. I had a question for Mike. Okay, so before the Danielle Hunter, it was rumors about the Texans possibly getting Eric Armstead. Do you think that if the Texans didn't sign Danielle Hunter, they would have got Eric Armstead.
That's what I've been wondering the whole last week, right? Because they signed Hunter, and it was an interesting contract because rarely do you see NFL contracts where it's like a multi-year deal and basically the whole thing is guaranteed, which they did. The sense I get is that they probably didn't have the money to do both Hunter and Armstead, and I think that's why that went down the way it did. Just talking to the people that I know, that's the feeling that I get, that it. Because when the Hunter thing happened, and then we heard, the restructuring of certain deals and Armstead, could they land him? It's like, oh, could you have a defensive line with Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and Eric Armstead? I guess maybe they somehow didn't quite have the money to do that. You can always make the money, but I guess that wasn't in their budget. The Malik Collins thing is interesting because, I don't know exactly how good Malik Collins is or is not. It seems to me he's an upside player. You see the flashes of penetration. He's getting older. Maybe there's some injury concerns or risks moving forward. They wanted to clear that space. But the Armstead thing really appealed to me with the D'Amico connection. It just, I guess it seems like with how much money they gave Hunter, they probably couldn't do both guys on the same position group. That's my sense.
Yeah, because I also wanted to know, which one do you think, in your eyes, is the better player? Which one do you think, I would rather have Eric, or do you think Danielle Hunter was the best choice for that situation?
It's a great question. I mean, I'm going to be answering this without doing the film study and breaking down the X's and O's. Yeah. I guess if I had to put a gun to my head, maybe I'd say Armstead, although he's more of a run stuffer on the inside. Just under the theory of hey, if the backbone of your defense is pretty solid, chances are you're going to find a way. And in a I'm answering that question in a vacuum, not necessarily with where the Texans are, because you could argue hey, they have one good to very good edge rusher already in Will Anderson. Maybe it balances things out. So gun to my head, I'd say Armstead, but I'm not going to give you a ton. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm breaking down all 17 games of all these guys. Both have been very productive veteran players for a long time.
Okay. Really
I would say Hunter because of what you lost Gennard, so now you got to. And to me, I think Hunter is in that elite pass rushing tier. So I mean, the dude had 16 and a half sacks last year. So pair him with Will Anderson, who's also a great run stopper, and D'Amico's all about stopping the run. Why not get a guy who wreaks havoc on the quarterback? And plus the upside is age, right? Danielle Hunter is a lot younger than Armstead.
Yes.
So I would take that just for that reason. Either one is a win, right? Both.
Because in this day and age, everyone's passing more. They're passing more and more, and you're going to really, I guess, not treasure the edge rusher and pass rusher more than you would an interior player. But yeah, I agree. I feel like you have to put the age into it, and he's a Houston area guy. Went to Katy, that school in Katy, so it's I guess they really love their Houston area guys. I guess that's how they got what's his name, man? I don't know why I'm missing Janet Petrie. King Green, they love them area hometown guy. So hopefully we'll see what happens. What about you, Kenny? What you think out of Eric Armstead and Danielle Hunter? Did they make the right choice or no?
I think they made the right choice. What I'm sitting here thinking is I feel like I'm wondering if they jumped the gun on signing D'Amico. Because I wonder if they didn't sign Archie. If they didn't sign him, maybe we would have been able to get on Armstead. So, but honestly, I feel like Hunter. I feel like that was the better signing. But at the same time, I'm starting to think that I think they probably jumped the gun on Archie, and they probably could have had Armstead with Hunter and Will if they didn't get Archie.
I think
who's the player from the Jaguars, the defensive, the interior line that we got?
Fatukasi.
Yes.
He played for the Jets before as well. Yes.
See that,
Okay.
and that's what I was about to say. So to me, that is the kind of where they were going because I'm not going to murder his name. The guy from the Jags, he
Yeah.
stuffs the run. He's great at stuffing the run,
Mhm.
but can't get to the quarterback. But on the other hand,
Mhm.
the Nico Autry can't stop the run, but can
Get to the
get after
quarterback.
the quarterback. Just like
Perfect.
Sheldon Rankins
Yeah,
and
show the rank.
Tart
Collins.
Davis,
Yeah, part.
well, they mixed match, right? Like if Rankins
Yeah.
wasn't in, Collins was to get after the quarterback.
Mhm.
If Davis wasn't in, they switched out. They love to rotate linemen, and I
Mhm.
think that's why
Yeah.
it was great to pick up Mario Edwards, re-sign.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Uh,
Mario. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
they re-signed Barnett
Derek,
today.
yes, and Derek Barnett. I mean, dude, this line has to be one of the greatest depth lines in all NFL. Like it's fantastic. Like if somebody goes down and like we've been saying, D'Amico likes to rotate players
Mhm.
and perfect pieces to do that. And I think if we did get Armstead, and that's what it was, is for more depth and rotation. I mean, he would be the starter, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
for so that way he wouldn't have to keep it going. Because that's D'Amico, he's a mastermind when it comes to that stuff. Did it in San Francisco, now he's doing it here.
I just wish he would have took whatever we offered. But you know what I'm saying? Everybody's striving for the buddy. I get it. But man, if he would have
and
just
then
took
and
what
then he
we
had to sign with the Jaguars. Really, Eric Armstead, the
yeah.
Jaguars. You could
Hey,
you had to stay in the A. You had to go to AFC South. So you can go nowhere else, right?
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
money talks, you know. So
Yeah.
it does. And
good for
that's what we
him.
saw this free agency for sure.
Yeah, good for him. Well, guys, let's jump on. Free agency still happening. So, Mike, I'll start with you. Who is one guy that we should try to go after? And do you think we go after a Howard or a Justin Simmons with the money we have left over?
The one I was going to say, and I will say, is Justin Simmons, just because, we're now, a week and a half in, right? And so that means that the market, you never know. Like, he could be holding out for a certain amount, he might get it. But it certainly indicates that the market is not where he wanted it to be. Like, that's just reality. I was surprised they released him. Maybe I shouldn't have been. But I just thought the last 5 years, like, Justin Simmons was the Denver Broncos. Playmaker, ball hawk, the whole thing, captain. So I'd be interested there.
And that's what you want out of your safety too, right? Like if you had to describe a safety you want on your team, it was Justin Simmons.
Yeah, so he's one that stands out to me. I still wonder what the talks are with Steven Nelson. He did have I think a plus season last year. I kind of feel bad with guys like that sometimes because it's like they're caught in this weird vortex of like, well, you're not sure how long they're going to play well, and then they play well, and then you're still like, I'm not sure how long they're going to play well, if that makes sense.
Right.
But he has played, I think, pretty decently the last 2 years, especially in 2023. Micah Hyde's out there as well. He's a guy who's played for a long time. I think about, would they think about adding a receiver? I don't think they're going to sign someone like Tyler Boyd. To me, it would be a safety, though, just because I look at that position and Petrie's coming off of a down season. Ward gets hurt. They re-signed Murray. They brought back Lonnie. I just think it's an area where there's a clear need for another guy. And we're talking about players who would require real investments, but like that, those kind of guys, especially Justin Simmons, can turn this defense into what I thought was, fine, up and down. Sometimes they were very good. Sometimes they were very bad. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. That could really turn it into a, upper tier NFL defense.
Right.
So Mike, okay, so what you saying that about Justin Simmons, who's getting the back seat? Is it Petrie or is it Jimmy Ward?
I'll say right now Jimmy Ward, although maybe they go Petrie. But to me, like, this is part of becoming a good team, right? Or a contender where you don't just say, hey, we signed Jimmy Ward last year. We gave him a real contract. Jalen Petrie's a second-round pick, and therefore, like, we're just going to give these guys jobs. It's no, like, there are injury concerns. There's performance concerns, and it's an important, although not premium position. Like, you sign somebody like that, and the other guys compete with him. So if it was me, I'd lean Ward. I think they might lean Petrie because it seemed like he kind of fell out of favor a little bit with D'Amico last season.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, it was some tough love going on last year, but it's like when we signed Jimmy Ward, I was so excited, man. I was excited we got Jimmy Ward in here. He can be captain. He's been with D'Amico. He knows that defense, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's not playing." Like, "Oh, he's playing." Like, "Oh, he's not playing." "Oh, he's playing." Like, "Oh, he's off for this." Okay, he's done. He's not playing no more. So it's like that was a roller coaster with Jimmy Ward. Granted, I'm sure he on the field, he was quarterbacking the defense. He made some good plays for us at the end, toward I guess the middle of the season. That Denver Broncos game, one of the games with the interception. So he had some good plays, but they say your best ability is availability. And if he can't be on the field to help
Absolutely.
us, what's the point? What's the point? What we doing here?
And so I would have to say more of Jalen Petrie because of youth, right? Like inexperience. Mike, you said it. This is his second year last year, going into his third. Who not better to learn from Jimmy Ward and Justin Simmons? Like that's two safeties that have been at the top of their game throughout their whole career. So why not have him sit on the back burner and learn from these guys and then get the experience, okay, that's what I need to do. Go in there for rotation. Go in there for if they get hurt. I think that'd be a perfect match made in heaven. Kenneth, what about you? What do you think?
As far as Justin Simmons and Howard?
Anybody who is somebody out there?
Here's the thing. Like, I want Justin Simmons, but to me, and one thing I need to stop doing, I need to just be a fan, but I'm always thinking about the money because it's all the rumors go out that he want this and nobody's obviously giving it to him. So it's like, sir, can you take a little pay cut? Come on down here. Like, I would love Justin Simmons here. And as far as Howard, I'm not too sure about Howard. The only way I see us get Howard is if we really done with Steven Nelson. I know we have Jeff, but I feel like Jeff is kind of like going to play the role that what's the guy named Griffin played last year. I think it's possible he played that type of role. Now, I could be wrong. He may come in to be the cornerback too and actually ball out. But I kind of feel like that's the type of role they might have him play next year. But, hey, who knows? We might go into the season with Jeff as our cornerback too. So, but I will love for us to get Justin Simmons and really get a safety period. But hopefully it's either Justin Simmons. And what about Diz? Did he sign anywhere yet? The safety from the Seahawks?
Andre Diggs? No, not yet.
Yeah, I would like him as well.
Yeah, I think he's a local guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the roster, cornerback is definitely a need. Like I know they signed Okuda. I don't know what he's going to bring to the table. We'll see. And obviously Stingley is coming off of a high-level season, but you never know with the injuries. Like they're going to have to add, I think, at least two more guys at that. I know they signed Mike Ford, fine, but they will need to add somebody at the level of a Steven Nelson, whether in free agency or they draft somebody. Right. That to me it's a bigger need than safety is right now.
I agree.
And I think I think that's what they're waiting for, right? Like a lot of teams are waiting to see what falls to them in the draft. Like, Quentin Mitchell fell to 42nd. Boom, let's pick him.
That would be a stroke of
right. I know it's not going to happen. I'm just throwing out possibilities. Yeah. But people that don't think that's going to be there fall to them and they take them, and then when it's all said and done, those people didn't fall to them. They're like, okay, what's the next step? Let's go get Howard. Let's go get a Simmons. Let's go get X, Y. Let's go trade for X, Y, and Z. I think now you got your quote unquote big splashes, your main roster guys. Now you're just filling in depth and waiting for the draft. I think you're kind of done with the starting lineup, if that makes sense.
I could see that. I still think there's a possibility for certain guys. Stephon Gilmore is still out there at the age of 33. I know there's been some discussion about Clowney. I don't know if that's realistic. But this is the part of free agency where, like, you never know. Like, a guy could sign in an hour. A guy could sign in, 3 months. It doesn't – like, at this point in the market, there's no, like, sense of urgency per se. And so you could see guys sign really at any point here.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like they're going to because everybody wants a receiver. So I feel like they're going to address a receiver in the draft. They're going to address cornerback in the draft, address interior defensive line in the draft. I feel like that's going to be their top 3 picks because I don't see them. I know they say, free agency ain't no week. They could make a move. I feel like they're done. I haven't heard no rumors. I haven't seen, Nick ain't really been saying anything. I think they feel good about their free agency signings, and now they focus more on the draft. You see Nick at the pro days. I think their whole goal is draft. And if some do come to them that they like, they might jump on it, but I don't feel like they're pursuing anybody right now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's his cup of tea, right? It's a draft. He's been hitting the last couple of years, so
see, now that makes me want to go back to last year and like go through the timeline of who they signed when. They got some funny names here, like Jeff Driscoll, Tremont Smith, guys who like Hassan Midway. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, there was a gap. Let me see. Like, there was a gap last year. So right now it's March 20th, right?
Yeah.
So last year they had a gap between March 24th and May 2nd. So March 24th they signed Steven Sims, right?
Yep. And they signed him today or yesterday, one of the two.
They re-signed. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the next move last year was they claimed a guy named Tyree Gillespie, a safety, like a month and a half later. But to your point, like I'm looking at, so for example, so last year, you talk about the starting lineup, like the first couple of days of free agency last year were like March 14th, around then. And then like they signed Dalton Schultz like almost a week later. The Cooks trade happened almost a week later. Michael Dieter, who played, Denzel Perryman was signed March 22nd. But later in the offseason, here are some of the names. Blake Cashman, May 16th. Was a May 16th signing. Shaq Griffin, who played early in the season, was a May 13th signing. I want to see if there's anybody else in this list. Yeah, I think that's like, so there are guys who you can sign later in the offseason who can absolutely contribut.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's what they're doing, right? Like, getting prepared for the draft because that's more important. I'm not trying to say that's more value, but more now that's the focus that Nick Casario and D'Amico. Like, hey, all right, we need to figure out who we're going to get. So let's focus on that.
And that's what I want to ask, Mike. How do you feel about them trading back, giving the 23rd pick and going to the second round to the 42 pick? Do you feel like that's showing that they not all in this year, or that's showing like, hey, there's nobody we think we can get at 23, so let's just fall back, get some more capital in other rounds, see what happens?
I want to say this right to not make it a double negative. They are in on this season. I don't think that it's a move that signals like, oh, we're not all in on the season. Having said that, so a couple of thoughts. I have been critical of Nick Casario for trading up too much in the sense that I think there is a laziness would be too strong of word, but I think there's sort of it's been weird to me. It's been weird to me the last couple of years because Belichick, who Nick worked for a long time, does the opposite. Like, he always trades down. And it makes me wonder, like, was Nick Casario sitting there in New England and, like, constantly disagreeing with what Belichick was doing? Maybe. I don't know. But Casario seems to, like, have his players. And it's like he has his guys in the first round, second, third, like, each round. And then when he wants to target them, like, he will move up, even when it seems like it's not always necessary to do it. So I say that to say I appreciate, especially when you're down a little draft capital overall from the Will Anderson / Stroud trade from last season. This kind of trade in NFL history is usually a good trade to make. When you get like objectively excess value, you get Minnesota's second round pick next year, and now you have the 2 second round picks this year. Like, those trades, look at the last 100 years of NFL football, like, they typically, if you're the team that's trading down, you typically win. You get more picks, and you have the upside of like, hey, maybe Minnesota, I like Sam Darnold as a guy. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to carry them. I do like their coaching staff a lot, but I suspect Minnesota's quarterback room this year will be Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. And so I don't know exactly how many games they're going to win. So there's upside in that second round in 2025. So I appreciate the deal. I'm fine with the trade. The thing I wonder about is, why did the trade have to be made right now? Now, maybe it had to be made right now. We don't know these things, but that's what I wonder about. Is there more value when you're actually I know Minnesota. We know what Minnesota's trying to do, right? Like Minnesota is trying to get picks to trade up for a quarterback. I'd be shocked if it was anything else, right?
Yep.
So the Texans couldn't obviously have waited until 23, 24 to make that trade. I get that. What I wonder is, could they have waited longer in the pre-draft process to make this trade? I don't know. But that's what I wonder about the March. And we've seen others, like the Eagles have made trades. The Jets made a trade in March in 2018, I think it was, in order to get Sam Darnold eventually. Like, we see these March deals, but the weird thing about the March deals is that you're making trades kind of blind, right? Because you don't know who's going to be there.
Right.
Yep.
I'm going to put my little Texan tinfoil hat on and be one of these Texans conspiracy theorists. And I think it was because they were going to make a move at receiver, either being Stephon Diggs or being Brandon Ayuk. Maybe they were going to go after Brandon Ayuk, and they saw how steep it was from the Jacksonville trade. They're like, nah, we're good. Or it was for the Diggs trade, and like, no, let's hold off. Maybe we can get him cheaper if we wait. So I think that's why they jumped the gun, whatever you want to call it, so quick.
Yeah.
So that way they have the capital to say, okay, here you go. Here's what you got. Give us X, Y, and Z. I
felt like it happened right after the T. Higgins said that he wanted to crush trade. I was like, oh, maybe they finna move two second round picks for T. Higgins. But then who knows? Like, Nick Casario got his own, like I said, his own brand. He don't really, jump out the window. He gonna just move at his own beat. And that's why I told everybody, all the Texans fans, was like, he ain't do nothing first day of the free agency. I said, that's not what he does. He don't jump out there first day. He see what everybody else get. He scope out the scene and he say, all right, day 2, I know what I'm offering these guys. Whoever left, I'm offering them what I think. I'm not gonna give them crazy amount deals, but if they take it, let's go. If they don't, it's all good.
I think it was Pat Storm. I forget who it was, but he put a list of I think last 5 to 10 years players picked at 23, and then the last players picked at pick 42. The better players was at pick 42. I mean, I get it. It's going to be different because every team has a different need, but still, I mean, that's still a little it's roulette, right? Like the draft is a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. So to me, I agree with Mike. I think we want to trade. Like once you start being a good team, you can do moves like that. Like, oh, okay, because like you said, Mike, the Vikings might suck next year. So we probably have 30, 33, 34. Who knows?
34, 35. Who knows? Yeah.
Right. Chicago got better. Green Bay's on the rise. Detroit's a powerhouse. That division's already locked down,
Yeah.
So
you're right.
It's in favor of the Texans. Kenneth, what do you think? What do you think about the trade?
I honestly understand what Mike is saying. As far as like he wondering, I see what Mike is saying. He wondering why we did it so early. Because like, what if Vikings would have got desperate and gave more if we waited later? So that is one thing to think about. Maybe they would have gave more, but at the same time, I think I like the 2 second round picks. I think it's cool with me. But I do wonder, like, now I'm wondering now that Mike said that, like, what if we would have waited a little bit farther back? And it seems like Nick has been making moves to try to make another move. You know what I mean? Like as far as trading Malik Collins and trading the 23rd pick, it seems like he's been doing these moves so he could try to
and then
capitalize on something else, and then it don't fall through. But
and then reconstruct your Shaq Mason deal. All like boom, 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 right? Like you had to think to yourself, like, Nick, what are you doing over there, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
But at the same time, it's like I'm gonna sit back and trust him, see, you know what I'm saying? Just ride, see where we're going, and I think we're in the right direction. But of course, it's kind of like curious, like, all right, nigga, what you doing? Like, you gonna do something big, or what we doing? We waiting. I mean, we never know. Draft night might do something big, and we be like, oh snap.
He did last year. So, I mean,
exactly.
Like he has a trend. So who knows?
So, yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, before we get off of here, let's jump into why all the Texans fans are fighting each other the last couple of days. Uh, Cal McNair leaked the footage or the picture of the new uniforms. You got side A that love them, side B that hate them. Mike, you're our guest. I'll ask you first. What's your thoughts on it? Is everybody overreacting way too soon?
So I'll preface this by saying that you don't want to go to Mike Meltser for your fashion advice when it comes to sports. Having said that, though, my initial thought was, man, it looks a little kind of XFL-ish or Falcons-ish, but
Yeah.
This is how I am, like, truly. I remember, like, I grew up in the 90s, and so I remember when the Broncos, like, changed their uniforms distinctly, and for me, a lot of it was like, like, I'll put it this way. A uniform looks cooler when a team is winning. So when I was growing up, the Rams were, to me, a boring uniform. And then when Kurt Warner came and you had Holtz and Bruce and Marshall Faulk, it was like the coolest uniform in the league, right? Like, because they made that uniform cool. So with this, I'm in wait and see mode, even though I'm looking at it as you guys are right now, because I know it sounds simplistic, but I want to see what it looks like on the field. Like, I want to see, all 11 guys together on each side of the football. I want to see, like, the team, how they line up. And I think this is only one of, like, the 4 uniform combinations. So I'm also in wait and see mode on that as well. It's interesting. Like, I'm not the kind of person who, like, wears jerseys or anything like that. So again, probably not like the best, like, source, but it seemed a little XFL-ish to me. But again, I want to see it on the field at NRG Stadium.
Game time. I get it.
Yep.
Kenneth, what about you, brother? What do you thought? I mean,
So
you rocking the jerseys in the background, so
Yeah. So here's the thing: when it leaked, I was confused, and I made a joke on Twitter. I was like, "Man, those the Roughnecks jerseys. Stop playing." and then somebody said, "No, it literally says Texas," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" And it's like the guy they have modeled, and it's like, what's going on? This man got a 3X jersey on, and he need a large or something. The jersey look big on it, so that's why I feel like everybody was panicking a little bit. But once people saw Nico and Tank, I'm glad Kyle did that because that was player.
I think that's why he did it, right? I think that's why he did
I
it.
like
Right.
that he did that, but I feel like that was player. But yeah, I like the jerseys honestly. Will I buy it? No, I don't think I'm gonna buy the white one. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I do buy jerseys, but I don't think I'm gonna buy that white one. I think I'm gonna wait for the other ones to see how they look, and then I'm gonna go from there. But I don't think I'm buying the white one.
Bo, what about you, man? What you got?
Yeah. I've been giving it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Like I told everybody before, as a Texans fan, I've been wanting new jerseys for a long, long time. I felt like even when you play Madden, and you pick your team, and you're gonna throw out the jerseys. Other teams, they got millions of jerseys to pick. We got like 4. We got the red ones, the white ones, the deep steel blue, and you be like, that's it. That's all we got. Granted, 2002, I guess the youngest franchise, so now we had that many jerseys in rotation. So I'm just excited to have a different, colorway of jerseys. Like Kenneth said, the white one, 7 out of 10. Will I get it? No. I heard it's a black one, so I'm really waiting to see a black one because I really want them to have a black jersey. So that will probably be my first one. If they do have a black jersey out of the 4, I'm definitely buying that black one. But yeah, it was cool. It's nice to see just, new uniforms. Like, granted, I guess the little swoop on the shoulder is a horn. I see what you did there. I understand. I get it. Texans, the horn. It matched the helmet, but I really wasn't feeling the fun of the number. Like I was like, it looked kind of weird. I guess because I'm not used to it. But all in all, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's like I said, it's a new jersey. Can't be mad at it. Something new to look at. Why not?
Yeah, man. I think everybody's a little freaking out a little bit because how it's hard to make white pop, right? Every white jersey in the NFL are bland. They suck. You can't change my mind. Like white, they're so you can't really do nothing with it. So I
tell
think
you
that's
one
why.
thing.
Go ahead.
It's better than the Arizona Cardinals jersey when they showed them that. Like, out of the ones they showed, that was just plain red, white, black, and the Cardinals letter on it with the boring fun. I tell you that much, they did make it look a little interesting. I'll give them that.
Right. So I see why they did the white jerseys first because they're like, okay, here's a little taste. Now let's build your excitement to the real jerseys. Now I get where everybody's like, oh, it's the Falcons, oh, it's the Tampa Bay numbers, but to me, and maybe it's just because of let me pull the picture back up. Tank Dell's number, but to me, I get NASCAR vibes off the numbers, bro. Like, it does. That 3 looks like a Dale Earnhardt senior. Yeah, bro. Like I get NASCAR vibes. Like, I agree with you, Bo. I like the effort that they put the horn, but if you're gonna do that, put the whole bull right there.
On the whole bull, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, why not?
You know, I mean, but again, I give it a 7.5. I give it a 0.5 from your rating. I heard there's gonna be an H-Town blue jersey. Like, that's the one I'm excited for. Like,
yes,
take some of our culture back from the hillbillies down south, Tennessee. Like, give us our culture back. Give us our jerseys back. So I'm excited for April 24th to see. Because again, white's bland. You can't do nothing. Now
I will say this real quick. The uniform, the way it's set up, does seem like if you add like a red helmet or just some red, like in other places, it seemed like that would really pop. Yes. Again, that's my limited fashion take, but it does seem that way to me, like genuinely.
I actually told my buddy before the podcast, I said, now if they and the horns, instead of being the still blue on the horns, if they threw some red on there and with the red helmet, that it would actually look better. You know what I mean? It would make it pop a little bit. But I see what they're going for. The whole kind of the old uniforms, the still blue. I get it, but all right, cool. Let's move on. Let's get the real jerseys. Let's get the battle red. Let's get the H-Town blue. Like, I'm ready to see it on the field again. Like what Mike says, when you're winning, that's all that matters. Winning fixes everything. Like, you can have COVID for straight 3 months. As soon as you start winning, I'm COVID free. Like, it fixes everything. Everything. So I'm excited.
I feel about I was thinking before they even dropped these jerseys, thinking about some white helmets. I really want us to get some white helmets.
That's one thing I heard, that there were going to be new helmets. I thought 3 or 4 new helmets. So, but
they probably like, we just gave y'all a red one. Why y'all want a white one now?
But man, just think about the
white one would be tough. I ain't gonna lie, that would be nice. That would be cool. That'd be cool. As many helmets as possible.
Yeah. Or in the H-Town blue, like, I get it. I think those would be anything's better than what we got, right? I mean, Battle Red was nice last year, but exactly. You know, so all right, fellas. Well, before we end the show, do you have any questions for Mr. Mike before we let him go?
No, just great insights. Great insights. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Same.
Kenneth? Same? All right. Well, Mike, before we let you go, tell everybody where we can find you, what you got cooking, so that way we can support you.
Absolutely, yes. So you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Mike Meltser with an S, not a Z. I am on SiriusXM's Mad Dog Sports Radio, which is channel 82 on SiriusXM for those who have it. My next show will be not this Saturday, but the following Saturday on the 30th from 3 to 7 p.m. Central Time. So, and I'm working on developing some more fill-in opportunities on a different network as well. So, but always on Mad Dog Radio and on Twitter as well.
And you study at UNH, correct?
I am a University of Houston Law Center graduate. Yes.
Okay. So
one football related tie on that. I know it might be a lame thing to be proud of, but I did coach the University of Houston Law Center team that about a month and a half ago won the Tulane Pro Football Negotiation Competition. It's a competition I've been coaching for 5 years. So I'm merely the coach. The students actually do it, but we won against the University of Miami in late January, which was very cool. So
there you go.
No, that's round of applause. We had a little sound for the round of applause. Yeah. Congratulations, man. That's
thank you.
We applaud that around here.
So who, you got the Cougars winning it all, March Madness?
I'm not sure. I have to say, I had somebody ask me that earlier. So I'm a Syracuse alum, so that's my school. Because of that, we're obviously not in the tournament. That's another story. But Syracuse is a big UConn rival, and it sickens me, and I'm not happy about it. But it is incredibly difficult to pick against the University of Connecticut. Now, they got a tough draw, which I like in their bracket, but it is very hard to pick against that team right now.
They won last year, right?
They did, yes. In Houston.
They beat San Diego State, yep.
Yeah. Still tears me up. All right. Bo, where can we find you at, brother? And what?
You can find me on all socials at Bo Diggity 713. Y'all know the deal. Thank y'all for watching.
Look, man, this guy is too modest. Like, check out his TikTok. The best in the game. Gotta check it out. Houston.
Check it out. Check it out. Like the videos, share the videos, all that good stuff for you, boy, man.
It's free. You know, it's free.
Yeah. It's free.
Kenneth, what about you, brother? What you got?
Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Kenneth the Messenger, like the name under, and Twitter Messenger _ Keno. That's pretty much it. Appreciate y'all for having me back on, and appreciate you, Mike. Good talking with you, man. Nice meeting you, and go Texans.
And you're about to, and you're on the works of making a Rockets pod, right?
Oh yeah, I'm actually trying to do sports period. Trying to make sports period and just talk all that sports, boxing, all that type of stuff. So yeah, I'm working on that right now.
Well, keep an eye on it because it's going to be great. You can find me at A1 Day 1 Texans everywhere. Our other brother from another mother couldn't be here today. You can find Mr. Crenshaw at 5th Ward Crenshaw everywhere. And, of course, you can find the show at Texans Fan Battle everywhere. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, hit the notification buttons. Like I said, with Bo, it's free to do it to help us support us. Till then, guys, have a good week, and we'll talk to you then.
Yo, check it out, free rapping for the tech.